the host of the I Am Healing Strong podcast. And we're here on a Testimony Tuesday to talk to you about Jim's insightful reflection on the most current episode we have released, which was yesterday, March 27th, with Pastor Diego Mesa. And it's not every day you get to hear an interview like this. And so I really enjoyed it because now being on the natural health path and not having a diagnosis myself, I would find a ton of value in being in a congregation where somebody is on the pulpit talking about what I would call God's way to health. And so I would love to hear just how the conversation was, you and him, because I know you've done ministry as well. And so is this something you saw when you were doing ministry, or you heard? Was this behind the scenes conversations happening? Or is this a need that we have?
Yeah, I love practical ministry, and I don't see a lot of it. In fact, I hardly see any of it rather. Um, and that's because, of course, that's part of his journey. Of course, he's a very passionate man about.
Yeah.
He loves people and he wants to meet them where they are, and
Mhm.
um, but the fact that he too went through a cancer diagnosis and battling the cancer and overcoming it because he's very determined. I wouldn't want to get in his way. Um, but he's got this land because he's got such a huge church, and he said he gets tired of um, preaching funerals of people that just got sick and passed away from that. And of course, the American Christianity, which I'm generalizing here, of course,
Yeah.
and grouping myself into it, we tend to just live a life that's contrary to what God has for us. And the fact that, we don't exercise necessarily the way we should. We definitely don't eat the way we should. Um, and then we were surprised when we're sick, and then we just want God to heal us so we can go on our way doing the same thing. But he's being practical about it and providing, like having a little farm there where there's fruits and vegetables and herbs, and even bringing in supplements where people can actually do what God intended us to do, is to eat real food.
Yeah.
um, and not just because we pick junk, but we're also presented junk
Yeah.
through the grocery stores and stuff. But we got to be a little bit smarter than that and not eat stuff that just has a long shelf life
Hmm.
just so they can make more money at it. I mean, we need to say, hey, God created this for our health, and we're getting more and more knowledge about what different food does to different parts, and it's so interesting. um, and we were talking earlier before we went on how there's so much knowledge, and that there are some people that just spew forth all this knowledge like they can contain it. But for the normal person, we have to write it down
Yeah.
or have charts all over our room. So you say, okay,
Post-it notes.
yeah, I need to. And I say, well, I can't remember these things. I thought, well, it's kind of like reading the Bible. You need to start writing things down and memorizing scriptures or whatever it may be so it can get in there. Well, I need to write, like when I come across certain foods, I got to remember what it is about that's healthy. So when something's happening, I can go to this group of food rather than looking up in a book again. I mean, it's all right there. Um, and
Yeah, but the more you expose yourself to it, the more you meditate on something, right? The more it gets into you and
yeah,
becomes something that can come to mind, that the Holy Spirit can help remind us, like, hey, remember what's written in God's law, or what's his words say. And then same with just learning about all the aspects of health and nutrition is it's the same thing, because you want to be able to feel empowered and be empowered. And so that's part of that, is that
yeah.
knowledge piece.
Yeah, and that's the practical part also. I mean,
Hmm.
just because I'm a few years past college,
Hmm.
uh, I still
You can go to
consider
college at any age, Jim. So that's applicable.
That's true. That's true. Um, and I did go late, but it was still in my 20s.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, we're still able to learn things, and here we have computers, and in the phones that we carry everywhere has just access to all the knowledge in the world. It's just incredible. So we can find out information, but we need to organize it for our own little minds so we could be practical about it. And that's what I liked about Pastor Diego, and he's very determined to help his people, not only live a good life, but provide the things they need to do that.
Mhm.
And the church to step up, not just to preach from the pulpit of what they should do, but even give them the tools and help them do what they should do. Because baby steps for pretty much all of us. We're starting
Yeah.
a journey. When you get a diagnosis, you're scared. It's good to be able to run to the church for the answers. So I was very
Yeah.
impressed with that. He said,
Now I have a question for you, Jim, because I'm realizing just right now that it wasn't discussed in the interview. If somebody would like to go to their pastor or their staff and just present an opportunity of like, I'm really yearning to learn more about what is better for our bodies or how God designed us to really thrive, how could they approach their pastor or their staff to just kind of prayerfully plant that seed or within their staff, and what way would be, I guess, best because you were on that other end for a little while in your own life. So how would you appreciate being approached if somebody in the church is like, I really would love to see more of this? Doesn't mean it's going to happen every Sunday, right? But at least just the sprinkling of it would be great, or just opening up the dialogue.
right, right. That of course depends on your pastor. If he's had a personal experience with cancer, it would be much easier, I
Yeah.
would think. But if not, you can always find in any group of people, you can always find somebody either on staff or someone in leadership that has had a personal experience with a journey with cancer. And I would go to them first because they would have more of a passion for it.
Yeah.
And if they're not familiar with Healing Strong, which I don't know why they wouldn't, I would give them a little information on the background and, take them to the website and show them all the things that are available and what can be done. And
Mhm.
maybe, with that person, develop a plan and then go to whatever leadership you will need to go to, because being a pastor at a church, sometimes you cringe when people come to you with, "Hey, I got an idea that you can do," because your plate is so full, and
Yeah.
lots of pastors are not as good as delegating as they should be. I was not good at it, uh, and so they like, "Oh, can't do one more thing," but uh, come with them with the problem and then the solution, and then hopefully get a blessing from them to build a team around this. So, but hopefully they can help you also and guide you, especially if they've had a personal experience with the journey. So that's my suggestion, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that could even just be about starting, like allowing them to have you host a group there too. And maybe that's the foot in the door. And so it's not necessarily something the pastor takes on right away, but they'll want to
Right.
support you in having your group there. So,
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to have a group there because that
yeah.
exposes you to all that information.
Yeah. No, I appreciate your answer, because even just for myself as an attendee of a church, it's good to know because the staff is very busy. I mean, you guys have a lot of stuff going on that we don't know about. So I know you're not doing it anymore, but I
Right.
appreciate the insight. So thank you. All
Sure.
right.
And then they can go out into the yard and start plowing up their property, for a garden, see what they
Yeah,
say.
that's
That's
that's what they have time to do.
yes, yes. I was joking about the
So
last.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to the episode yet with Pastor Diego Mesa, it's okay. It just came out yesterday. We don't hold it against you.
Mm.
But if you'd like to go listen to it, we are on Buzzsprout. We have it in our link tree and Instagram. And there was a post shared yesterday that has our link to our podcast. If you're in our HQ support group, you can join that as well. But you can just ask for the link in the comments. But we have the podcast link in that group. And I'll share it with this post for today on Facebook. But it's also on healingstrong.org/podcast.
All right. Oh, you get hung up there.
So be able to find it.
Snap out of it. There you
Looks
go.
like I
Yes.
froze on my end.
Well, it's colder where you are.
Yes, there's a ton of snow. It stopped. The sun came out yesterday, so hopefully it melts within the week because there is a massive pile after it got plowed.
Wow.
Okay, so there is the spiel for the podcast, but we want to end this by talking about our 10-year anniversary because there's info on our website for that too. And there's some details that Jim can share with you about that before we sign off here.
Yes, coming up September 29th and 30th at the Met Church in Houston, Texas. We're all going to come out there, every one of us. No excuses.
Yes.
We're going to come out there and celebrate 10 years of what God has done through Healing Strong and through all those involved. It started with just a few people thinking, oh, we need support. We need to meet on a regular basis. And then it's just blown up to all over the country and several other countries. So we want to just come and celebrate what God has done. And we want you to be there. And, even if you're not in a group right now or really technically a part of it, still come out and be a part of it from that point on. How about that? For the next 10 years.
Yes. So we have information available on our website. Details will continue to be added. So go to healingstrong.org and submit your name and email so that you can stay up to date. And then there was something else. Oh, the theme is astronomical grace. And so our God has grace abundantly. And so that is where that comes from because, the saying, Houston, we have a problem. So it's more of Houston, we have a solution. There's astronomical grace in abundance available to all of us. And he has shown so much of it to Healing Strong over the last 10 years and really sustained us as an organization. And it is because of him that we've been able to be here servicing so many over 10 years. So it will be a blessed time, a fun time. Thank you, Jim, for your time this morning and sending us off with details. And we will see you next week.
All right.